What up, my fellow Knicks fans? This is your guy Marcellus Ease, and don't panic quite yet. Now, as things begin to warm up, we're seeing the starters get a lot more burn out there. I'm going to touch base on a few concepts that are kind of taking place a little with Jalen Brunson and his offense, as this season, he's really going to get into his mid-range bag, as the court definitely has opened up for him with Towns being out there stretching the floor. And also OG, quiet-ass OG Anunoby. He is going to make some noise this season because there will be plenty of offensive opportunities. And also the Knicks defending dynamic guards. We've seen Tibbs finally go to some switching out there to guard Anthony Edwards. But hey, I'm not going to say no more. Let's just get to it.
Sometimes I used to take the subway. People were yelling at me, but when I'm on the train, I didn't look at anybody. So I was like a typical New Yorker. I just looked down at the floor. So, because the thing is, if you make eye contact with people, they get confidence to come over and say, "Are you Frazier? Are you Frazier?" Who else could it be but Clyde? Come on, man. Come on, man.
Alcohol, right?
We're always constantly hearing that this is a three-point league all the time. And nowadays, the NBA floor is so stretched out, at times, the actual mid-range shots are easier shots to take. And there are players like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Kevin Durant, and even Jokic to a degree, always killing it from the mid-range nowadays. And Jalen Brunson, very similar to those players. He doesn't necessarily knock down a ton of threes per game, as we've seen last season when he had career highs. Most of his points came off a pick and roll, attacking the paint. My man last year was looking like Patrick Ewing in that paint, the way he was just so dominant. But it's really due to the fact that the floor is once again so spaced out that if guys have a mid-range bag, they can get it off nowadays. But on this play right here, Karl-Anthony Towns is now going to compromise some of the 3 and D players throughout the league. Daniels right here has to now respect Brunson going one-on-one with Rudy. This is the exact issue the T-Wolves faced last year going up against Luka. Rudy Gobert was left on an island just tap dancing, trying to keep up with Luka. And right here, Brunson's able to take him one-on-one. And it's not only about that. Check out Karl-Anthony Towns. Now he can come through and gobble up some of these offensive rebounds. All right, looking at Brunson's options right here. Towns is going to set a screen to the left. I'm wondering if he should have re-screened, either set a flat screen right behind McDaniels or set a screen right here for Brunson to go right. Because now there's more space to attack right here. And plus you have Mikal as a shooter. So it might compromise DiVincenzo. But right here, when he attacks right, Josh Hart is not really a threat from out here. See, Brunson still goes right. See, play kind of stalls right here. But check out Josh Hart right here as he makes his cut. Kind of open for a quick second. But again, this is the Knicks' first matchup against a team that has a lot of switchable players. I mean, even Dante, you can switch on him because he sort of plays like a bigger player. A guy who likes to attack the paint, grab rebounds. You got Rudy, of course, who could defend in the paint. You got Naz Reid, who can also switch. You got Edwards, strong shooting guard who could switch. And you got McDaniels, 3 and D guy who can also switch. So the Knicks going up against teams like this, the Boston Celtics, Oklahoma City Thunder, all these teams that have these switchable players. These are interesting dynamics to look at. Towns once again, perhaps the screen on the left side would have been better, more space to attack. But once again, because Towns is a threat from out here, look at the fucking spacing. Even if the ball is given to Mikal, let's say he has a weaker defender on him, he could take him one-on-one off the dribble with so much space to attack right here. This is kind of crazy. Same thing for OG. But because this team has so many switchable players, the dynamics here is different. But again, the way Tibbs is going to attack a lot of the spacing, especially when Towns kind of gets the pick and roll chemistry with Brunson right. You know, this is where the details, where I alluded to before with Karl-Anthony Towns, is going to have to pay more attention because the middle of the court is kind of crowded right here. Even with all the new additions, Brunson this season still has the green light to attack one-on-one and just kind of do what he did very similar to last year, just attacking in the paint, taking all those mid-range shots. Because at the end of the day, we really never seen teams leave Brunson one-on-one in the high post like this. You see how everyone kind of just stunts in? The respect is a lot different this season. We never really seen Brunson get to operate like this. As he draws the foul on McDaniels. McDaniels all quarter long. Brunson hit him off with 2 fouls, and he ended the first half with 3. We're used to seeing Brunson actually operate in tighter spaces. Now, right here from last season, down 2 in the overtime. The Knicks not having a stretch 5 change their dynamics, as Wemby now can actually hang around the high post, as that's where Precious kind of brings him to, because he's not really camped out here because he's not a threat. And also, defenders can stunt in and crowd up his attacking lanes. As we're going to see it play out here. See Wemby? Imagine this was Towns. Towns would be camped out here. Wemby would be forced to come out. So now the low man would be Keldon Johnson or one of these small forwards. And also one of their wing players wouldn't really necessarily stunt in as much because Mikal would be out here. Perhaps he might make a backdoor cut, or he could be open and shoot the 3. So the looks are going to be different from Brunson. But going back to this season, him operating anywhere around here this season is going to be a lot of one-on-one for him. And that's going to come a lot easier than in the past with defenders draped up all behind him and in front of him. But right here, he's smart to take this step back jumper because there's no reason to want any smoke with Wemby with that large ass wingspan down low. So right here, the Knicks are down 4. Very tight game. As you can see, once again, Şengün, he's guarding Precious. Not necessarily a lot of recovery space between him in case Brunson goes downhill. So imagine if Towns was in this game, he would stay out here. So Şengün's recovery to Jalen Brunson in case he attacks is a lot further away. So he would have to test that verticality to see if Şengün is about that life. Or any other big throughout the league this season. We're going to see how well can they block on the go. It's one of the main key benefits of the pace and space era. See, it's right here, Şengün, a lot less recovery. See, Precious brought him down low. That's why I said this season, Brunson with the spaced out floor, he's going to have, more room to operate one-on-one around this area. But last year, he actually had a decent season when, the lane was much more crowded. Right here, some more pick and roll with Towns. And look who's on the other side. This season, you got OG, and you got Mikal. So Edwards has to respect it. Naz Reid has to respect it. Can't quite stunt in all the way. As Brunson makes his way for open look. This is a good look right here. So right here, check out the spacing. That is a lot of recovery for defenders. Now check out Rudy Gobert right here. Can't quite stunt in. Can't quite drop back this far. Because Towns is that threat. Right here, you see the difference from last year. Look at DeRozan. He's going to stunt in. Look at everybody crowding up the paint. Hartenstein bringing Vooch right in the paint. Imagine if he was parked up out here or out here. Vooch would not be the low man right now. But check out DeRozan. You see how he bothers Brunson's shot right here? Brunson all season last year was making shots in tight spaces like this. And it's going to be a world of difference this year. This right here is the Knicks facing elimination, and you're going to see a world of difference when Brunson gets right here on the high post. What types of looks he's going to get. You see how Jimmy Butler quickly abandons RJ, completely blitzes. And just you're going to see the tough shot Brunson used to have to make. This is why this season he's going to get the green light to attack the paint, because his looks are going to be even much better, and he's still going to be as efficient. See, in this game, he had all kinds of crazy coverages, but yet he still went off on the Miami Heat. So you can only imagine when he has more breathing room to operate. So fast forward, as you can see right here, Nas Reed is with Towns. And it's right here on this turn. It's almost night and day. Brunson's looks in the paint. You got DiVincenzo as the low man right here. But look at Brunson on this turn. Sheesh. Look at the spacing. This is what Brunson has to operate in. He could go down the lane, pull up. He could fully attack, compromise the corner defenders, make them choose, kick out to OG, kick out to Mikal. There's options. Again, Tibbs is going to give that man the green light this season. Knicks right here, they're going to be compromising defenses all year long. Look who's the low man right here. You got the young guard as the low man because Rudy the whole time is worried about Cat. So this is what kind of happened to the T-Wolves last year in the playoffs. They had Luka just fishing, hunting for Rudy Gobert and just consistently getting him on the island and just killing him. And now the Knicks, in a way, they could begin to compromise these defenses as Brunson draws the foul right here. Here's another example of a perfect scenario for the Knicks offense right here. You got Rudy worried about Cat. Brunson with much more space to operate in. And you also now have the corner shooters. As now OG is also in the corner. And also, check out how Anthony Edwards doesn't fully bite in. Just look at that spacing. Brunson now one-on-one. Remember in the early portions of this segment, we seen how defenders was draped up all over Brunson. It's almost night and day. Man, you combine a high basketball IQ player like Jalen Brunson and the combination of Towns kind of almost being one of the last men trailing, making sure that the big man is way far out. His recovery time is crazy. But the recovery time for all the defenders right here is kind of nuts. Look at the spacing. But Brunson is going to attack this right away as he peeps it. But notice with the off-season additions, a player who is known for his off-ball cutting, that's a deadly combination. So the Knicks this season, they could take on numerous offensive identities. Even OG Anunoby, he's going to have plenty of opportunity to make things happen and to even create for himself. I mean, he took on that large payday, so I'm assuming the offensive role has got to open up to him. This right here, I want to see more of this. Pick and roll between Towns and Bridges. Bridges is a player who can just attack the lane, pull up anywhere from mid-range, floaters, fadeaways. This guy can do it all from in here. He also, in his first couple months in Brooklyn, he was a playmaker. He's a guy who kind of ran this offense. But there's going to be plenty of opportunities for OG here. Look at OG right here on this ghost screen. He's going to have Nas Reed fooled. At first, it looks like a screen, but he's just going to dip out. See, Nas Reed calls for the switch on Gobert. Now OG, man, with the crossover. Okay, OG, we see you. The Knicks low-key, they kind of have sneaky guys in this lineup right here. OG is kind of quiet, and also Josh Hart making something happen on offense with the slick penetration. There's going to be opportunities for everyone this season. This is a good take. Can't be mad at it. The Knicks offense this season looking like it's going to be more up-tempo, more free-flowing. Okay, OG, we got you. OG Olajuwon right here. Tibbs this season is definitely running a faster offense. No hesitation from OG. And you can also tell from the play of Deuce McBride coming off the bench, Tibbs is definitely giving these guys the green light to take any open shot they can. It doesn't matter how early in the shot clock or how many guys had touches before the shot goes up. And it's a beautiful thing to see. And with the Knicks' 4 key players, so many things happening at once. Right here, dribble handoff. Here's another action coming on right here. Dribble handoff to Peyton. OG slips on the screen. And Peyton with a nice pass. Nowadays, we just need serviceable guys really to kind of assist Brunson, OG, Mikal, and Towns. Just serviceable players who can guard different positions and who could be efficient. We don't really have to make another splash. But yeah, this season is going to be it's going to be one for the history books. Look at OG right here with the Beckham type play. There's going to be various parts of this season where Tibbs is going to be looking like Mike D'Antoni. Just certain stretches when we go, like, let's say on a West Coast run, we play the Pelicans, the Kings, those type of road trips. The Knicks offense, it might be looking a whole lot different. It might put the league on notice that the Knicks are more modernized when it comes to their offense. Now Towns right here, he could definitely drive. He's actually pretty versatile when he attacks the lane. But look at Bridges at the same time. He's making his cuts. Nice little dump off. And then, of course, OG, he's going to get plenty of opportunities this season. Got to work off that 40 mil we paying him. Right here, 3-on-2. When I say Tibbs is giving guys the green light, it is no joke. OG, no hesitation. But when it comes to the three-point shooting, in some of the matchups this season, the Knicks are going to have to try to keep up with how many attempts from three that we're taking. You know, because depending on the night, teams like the Pacers, Celtics, Warriors, the Mavericks to a degree, and the Kings, if we fall so far behind them in three-point attempts, sometimes that is the game right there. So this looks like an adaptation from Tibbs along with the coaching staff of the Knicks to sort of double down on this with the acquisition of Towns, Mikal Bridges, and also last season OG. But this is a good scenario to pay attention to because last year in the NBA Finals, the Boston Celtics somehow shut down the Dallas Mavericks from even getting more three-point attempts than they did. Them having the ability to guard players one-on-one and not necessarily double for Luka took away the Dallas Mavericks corner threes. So the Mavericks, even in the game that they won, they still had less three-point attempts than the Boston Celtics. And it almost took a record-setting shooting game in order for them to even pull that off and get the win. So the amount of shots attempted is going to be something to focus on as the year progresses. So this season is going to be interesting to see how Tibbs kind of runs these switches with Towns being slow-footed and playing this drop-back coverage. As right here, we're going to see Mikal jump. The jump. And Karl-Anthony Towns is the one to recover. I'm not going to lie. Towns had some great effort in this game. Let's look at that again from Towns' perspective on the switches. Mikal jumps. So it's Deuce that actually communicates with Towns on where to be. I can respect the effort from Towns right there. The Timberwolves having a dynamic guard in Edwards. Right here in the pick and roll, looks like Bridges steps up to help out Towns. Because Towns is going to leave Edwards with this open space to take this shot. Edwards has been hot throughout this game. Now, deep in the third quarter, the Knicks don't want Edwards pulling up for any more threes. So Bridges is right there to help him out. And now the Knicks begin to rotate. All right, not a bad recovery. So as we take a look at the other side of the coin in transition, Edwards kind of rejects the screen, catches OG. Look at Towns in drop back coverage. Mikal helps out to be a bit of a deterrent, but Edwards is in his bag right here. But again, I'm wondering when the Knicks face a dynamic three-point shooter who's not afraid of pulling up right here. See, Towns in that drop back coverage. His man is throwing the screen. I mean, Mikal is there to help out right now, but it's going to be interesting to see how Tibbs manages these switches. Let's say when the Knicks go up against a guy like Luka or Kristaps Porzingis with the Celtics, with Derek White out there along with Jason Tatum. Here's another pick and roll with a dynamic guard in Edwards. OG is caught. Now look where Towns is at. What Towns is really going to have to work on is keeping his hands up and swiping right here. Just one hand at least right here and the other hand up here to kind of get in his area a little bit. You see Towns' hands is down. You got to have one hand right here, one hand up, making it too easy for Edwards. Now, Edwards at this point is hot, but OG gets caught right here. You see Towns? I'm wondering how Tibbs is going to deal with this, because this is just way too much space for Edwards to attack, and Towns is not the type to even be contesting these type of shots. This is where the Knicks are really going to miss Hartenstein. He just had more lateral movement when defending. Rudy sets another pick for Edwards right here. And check out Towns. Just look at Towns this whole time. It's way too open. Let's take a look at that again. Now, as Rudy comes up, Towns has to be the quarterback right here. He should be calling for Josh Hart to step up with Rudy. And then he'll take over the corner. And eventually, depending on how it plays out, they'll switch back. At this point right here, it would be too late for something like that. But Edwards is just way too open. Especially for how hot he was in this game. That's inexcusable. And this is the reason why in the previous segment I had brought up the Rockets Timberwolves series when Tibbs was the coach. It was the same issue. They were getting killed by James Harden and CP3 in the pick and roll, and there were no adjustments, no rotations. So this is going to be interesting to see how Tibbs in 2024 is going to deal with the same scenario here, except now Towns doesn't have the star power that he had in Minnesota to just bitch and complain and want to get Tibbs out of there. But we'll see. Knicks got a long way to go, man. This is going to be a very interesting season. And until next time, you fellas stay safe. Peace.